Click the live. Now we're live. Brandon, what's up, my friend?
Touchdown!
All right, everyone. We're streaming live right now on YouTube, and we're on my personal Facebook page. So join in. We're going to have some conversation tonight. I'm here with my friend Brandon Schaefer. Brandon, you already got the best backdrop, man. You're outside. You want to talk about that? Since you're like, you got the trees. What are you on the deck?
Man. Austin. Video is not easy, man. No. It takes well done video, Zoom. It takes some skill, man. Like the lighting people do a phenomenal job. Like obviously I'm at home here. I don't have a lighting person, so I have one of those circle lights, whatever, and I turn that on. But what works best for me is being outside, not in the sun, not in the direct sunlight, but I have that glam light on or whatever, and I'm shooting off of my Mac, just the camera. But I did buy a M50 today, which is a mirrorless vlogging cam. So I'm going to use that in the future with the tripod, and then stream that. I'll plug this in, and it will be my camera. So hopefully it will give me a little bit higher quality. Sometimes when I move around real quick, me, I'm kind of like this, and the camera is not fast enough to kind of catch those movements. Sometimes they look a little sketchy, stuff like that. But yeah, it's tough, man. It's that, you know what, Austin, this is why I love doing this with someone like yourself, with a friend. And I'd recommend, anybody just grab somebody and go through this. We were talking a few minutes before we jumped on here. Yeah. Get used to the platforms. If you go to webinar, know how to bring documents in, share screens, stop sharing screens. The same thing with Zoom. So, but it comes with practice, 50, 100 times, I'm not going to do it one time. So I know for me, most of the time I wait until the last second, and then I try to get onto Zoom, and then I try to share something in, and then I leave my screen up too long, and then I hear, and then I'm trying to point, I'm talking, but it's me on the screen rather than what I'm talking about. So I'm all for practicing, man. I know you're a great coach, so I'm happy. Anytime I can get with you is fantastic.
Yeah, we've been talking about doing this for a while, so I'm excited to have you, just to have some chat. And I'll just give you, if you're just joining this, one of the things that Brandon and I were talking about is how you'll get on the phone with somebody, or you'll jump on a Zoom call, and all of a sudden you're just talking about this stuff, and you're like, man, are we recording this? Is this being recorded? So we just thought, why don't we just get on here and just have some discussions? Maybe we can talk a little bit about business. We can talk about maybe the psychology right now. What does it take? What does it take, Brandon, to keep at it during these tough times? When you're being pressed upon, you might have been furloughed, you might have been laid off, business is starting to go down. What do you do? What do you do to get through that when you're feeling that?
Me, I mean, it's only through good training. And I know I've worked with you before in the past and stuff like that. So I would recommend the best athletes work with the best coaches. I recommend, grabbing Austin, working with, this isn't a shameless pitch for him or anything else. We didn't talk about this before or anything else, no. But Austin single-handedly was one of my big public presentations. I was all over the place, even when I was talking to Austin earlier today, he asked me, is there anything I can help you out with? And I said, no, I'm not sure. Actually, I said, I'm not sure. But in reality, there's probably 50 things, right? But the issue is that I don't have that clarity in my head right now, because it's like firecrackers going off. So if you can relate to how I am with the whole 10 different things going on all the time, bang, 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 but like a ping pong ball. Yeah. It's good to work with a professional coach because they bring clarity. I mean, that was probably the biggest thing, is you outlined everything for me and brought clarity. Okay, Brandon, what are the 3 points you want to drive home, right? And we figured out consistency, persistency, and insistency, right? Those 3 things. Yeah. He goes, that's your strategy. If you join the National Speakers Association or anything else like that, the first thing they say is, what's your landing spot? What do you speak about? So that's what I speak about: CPI, consistency, persistency, insistency.
Not only do you speak about it, you live it. So
I live it, yeah. But to get back to your question with how do I stay on track? is I have a little piece of paper. I have a yellow piece of paper, right? Where am I here? I have a yellow piece of paper. I have a pencil. And I write down everything that I'm going to do, my short-term targets for that day. I know I can type them out on my phone. I know I can put them on a computer. But for me, I write them down, and it's usually only 4 or 5 things. And then as I do them, I cross them off. And I don't go to bed until that is my targets, the absolute must things that I do. I don't put junk or fluff on there. Those are the things that I absolutely must accomplish today. So like, I'll just give you a few for today. Now, this doesn't have anything to do with business, but it's 100 push-ups, right? Now, I don't do 100 push-ups all at once. So I do 20, then I do 30, then I do 20, then I do 10, 10, 10, right? So 100 push-ups is written down on there. 10 minutes of abs. I go on YouTube and I write down 10 minutes of abs. After I do my 10 minutes of abs, I cross it off. 30 minutes of cardio a day, right? So I go for a run. Now, those 3 things may sound stupid. They may sound minute, but in reality, if those things aren't down on paper, I'm probably not going to do them. You know, so I need to have exact guidance to keep me accountable throughout the day. Now I have another like 10 things on there, you know, and there's 3 or 4 personal things that I do like those physical activities. So for me, I have a few physical activities. I have a few mental activities, mindset activities, because I need to get my mindset right from when I wake up. I need to I need to have a few business activities on there. Like, how am I going to generate income? How am I going to get some interest here? So that's kind of my mojo to stay on track, and it works great. So I hope you're proud of me. I learned it from you.
Oh, no, listen, I call you for the tech stuff, man. You help me out with my database.
Yeah. It's all good.
You're just a whiz when it comes to that and knowing exactly what to do. And I try to stump you. I call you. I'm like, hey, Brandon, you use this? I'm already using that.
Well, you know, I try to test everything because my thing is I try to break everything as fast as I can, especially in the tech world. I use it, I push it, I try to break it. I try to connect it to other platforms. I try to connect it to other systems because I'm trying to learn. Because if someone asks me, I want to be able to say like these were the pitfalls. These are the good things. These are the bad things. Because when you read everything online, everything looks good, right? But when you start trying to connect like a CRM to a MailChimp or an Aweber, you start to see that, hey, the tags don't come across. So now I'm going to need to import them, but now I'm going to need to go through and add tags to each one of these. Like, you know, for any type of segmentation or anything else like that. So you'll see when you start to push these tools, they break, you know, and that's what I kind of that's kind of what I try to do.
And then once you know where they break, then you know where to fix or fill in the blanks, right?
Well, yeah, then I know where I can use them, how I can use them to the best, right? Yeah. Because then I know it's just like if I go for a run, right? I know that at 5 miles, my legs are probably going to start to give out. You did the 50-mile thing. What was it? 3-4 months ago?
50K, yeah, in October.
You did a 50K. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not there yet, dude. I run 5 miles. My left knee feels like it's going to fall off.
No, but I love the push-ups, man. I got to do that. I got away from that. So you're helping me out here.
Yeah, you got to hit on all angles, man. That's what works best for me. That. And you know, it's all good, man. It's life. You know, a lot of it for me is the mental part, right? Because I know a lot of people that has the physical, have the physical abilities to get the job done. It's, do they have the daily effort that it takes to actually do the work? And, you know, if you're not strong enough individually to know that, or you haven't worked with somebody that can kind of guide you and share with you the importance, I'd say stop doing what you're doing right now. Stop wasting time, get a professional and work with them and have them do it. Invest the $1,000, $2,000, $3,000. I don't care if it's you or somebody else. Invest whatever it is. It will be the best investment in your entire life, because that $3,000 or $1,000 or $5,000 or whatever it is, it's going to save you countless amounts of hours.
It's so true. It's so true. It's like, you know, you end up, and I know me, I've wasted money because not getting the right people. And that's one of my big focuses right now, is just getting the right people like yourself who know technology, who know database. I mean, how important is a database, Brandon? How important is
Oh,
it?
dude,
I don't care what business you're in, right? Doesn't matter, right?
it's everything. Junk in, junk out. Old data is bad data. I mean, yeah, even when I'm going through and sending out to a few small segments of an email list, the amount of bounces I get back now because people have changed in the past 2 months is astounding. Man, send out an email to 30 people, 30 people that you did business with 2 months ago. And I assure you, 5 of them, 6 of them, 7 of them are not in that role anymore. You know,
Wow.
so you constantly have to be cleaning, scrubbing, appending information to it, and multiple contacts. I mean, multiple contacts. Who takes out the garbage? Who's the assistant? Who's the vice president? Who's the market? Who's here for whatever market segment you're in? Right. This is the way the cavemen did it and cave women did it. I mean, there's nothing new to this. It's everything is driven off of information. They say that data is the new oil. You know, it is more expensive than
Good
oil.
data.
I mean, it is good data. Yeah, look at Facebook. Look at any of these platforms. They're all driven off of data. Uber. I mean, their whole thing is a database. I mean, that's what they're doing. Yes, they're providing a service. Amazon. You know, it's insane. If any small business owner, it doesn't matter if you have 10 people on your email list. It doesn't matter if you have 10,000. You always need to be just keeping track. And every time you talk to somebody, updating that data in live, real time. Don't expect to do it later. Don't write it down on a piece of paper. Do it right there when you're talking to them. All the notes in one central spot.
Yeah.
That seems to work best, and you know that's all I talk about is that. I mean,
yeah, I remember
really
I remember doing the thousand, you too, thousands of cold calls, going back and just old school, right? Typing that information in and charting everything you did with that relationship, right? You're managing that relationship. And I think I had like 1,300, at one point when I first, it was 1,300 database. I mean, it sounds like nothing today, but that's 1,300 doors that I walked in. You probably did the same.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah. I mean, but that was 10 years ago. If you went back to that database today, if you went back to ACT or whatever what it was back then, I think it was ACT or whatever that everybody did. You know, if you go back to that database and you send out an email, 80% of those people will not be there. 80% will be gone. That's how much people change jobs, even before COVID, even before this whole situation. Average person stays at a company less than 2 years. I mean, they're constantly moving around, everything else like that. I mean, it's crazy. It just baffles me how much change there is, and especially now with everything going on. I mean, it's just a different time. It's just a different time.
Absolutely is. It's definitely different. So we're in the middle of the change, but let's get back. What do you think? So we talked about what you're doing, but what do you do like when you get those down moments, like keeping it real, right? You're like, like you're getting hit hard. What do you do? Do you just plow through? Like, what do you do?
I get hit hard every single day. The most successful people get hit the hardest daily. But the thing that differentiates those type of people from a standard person is that they know that the next day the sun's going to shine again, right? Okay. So no matter what, it may be raining right now, it may be cold right now, it may be sleeting, it may be snowing, but they know no matter what, the sun is always going to come back up, right? If you're going through the Holland Tunnel, if you keep putting the left foot in front of the right, eventually you're going to see light. You're going to see light. And the most successful people realize that they need to be resilient, and that no matter what the circumstances are, and no matter what the conditions are, that they are just going to daily, every single day, continue to move forward. Now, one day I might get knocked back 2 steps, but the next day I move forward 3. So I might be -1 when I go to sleep at night, but I can assure you the next day I'm going to be up 1. So I'm always looking to go up, and sometimes just an inch, a millimeter. And I learned this from you, the 2 degrees. What is it? The 2 degrees from
2
Tony
millimeters.
Robbins?
Tony
2
Robbins.
millimeters. Yeah.
Shift, minor shift. Yeah.
The shift, man. It's that 2 millimeters. It's that simple mindset. But for me, it's I have a great peer group. I have a group of like 4 or 5 guys that I talk to, and sometimes we talk every day, like all 5 of us. Just get on the phone real quick on a Zoom, and we'll have a quick catch up. And there's 5 of us, and we'll just let it rip. Each of us just for a couple minutes. What's going on? What who needs help? Whatever. And that, just in listening to what they have going on, sometimes I don't even need to talk. It's just because I'm hearing what they're going through, and I realize that my issue really isn't a big issue, right? This is a Cadillac problem that I have. This isn't even serious. So, be resilient, be open to adapt, be open to transition, be open to change, and be willing to accept something that you may not want to accept, because that's the way it's supposed to be, so woo.
Yeah. Woo.
All good stuff, man. We are ripping. I'm ready. I'm fired up tonight, man. You get me fired up. That video you put on today is awesome, man. On YouTube. I love your videos.
I'm bringing the energy, man. I'm letting off I'm coming out of the cage, whatever you want to call it. But
dude, you're awesome on YouTube.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. Yeah, we're on YouTube now. So say hello to the YouTube audience. What's up,
hello, everyone? Yeah.
Subscribe. Yeah. Look up Brandon. He's everywhere too. Check him out. Yeah. He's on the move. He's on the move. He's like a moving target. You got to know where he's going to be, but you got to follow him because he's always up on tech.
You got to track him.
He's always helping business. He's up on technology. Yeah. But I just want to grab
some questions for you. I have some questions for you, real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
So, when you go to create content or video, do you spend a lot of time before you do it? Because I'm kind of just like, I feel it and I let it go. No script, no nothing. Shoot from the hip. But do you do you put like a lot of effort into it, or what? I'm always interested to learn, because your stuff is very professional. You always look nice. I always look like a freaking train wreck. I just got done running. I'm sweaty. I'm hot.
Man.
I'm like here and there, but
Yes. And I was on my mastermind call, or one of the mastermind calls I'm in last night, and we were talking about video. And they said, "What do you think about video?" And I said, yes, and yes. And what that means is do it, right? I was going to do a video on do a crappy video. Fall down, make your head bop all over. Like, just do it. People, because you have something that nobody else has. And you might think no one's watching. And I've been proved time and time again, somebody's watching. And my mantra is, if one person watches and it touches or moves them, that's fine. You see, because the thing is, most people are hyper focused on the millions of followers, and that's great. I'm not saying like that's great, but if you can't take care of the one, you don't deserve the millions. And so what I'm working on, and I'm working on these intimate groups, and I'm actually going to be calling everybody. I called you today. I'm going to be calling everybody that I'm working with. What do you need? What's going on? And we're just going to roll up our sleeves, have some real conversation, and just get intimate about what's happening in people's lives, because we get so caught up in the tech, man. And I know this will resonate with you. We're talking about old school, but I'm going old school, man, because I want to look at it like 80-20, like where before it's like you're looking at the tech as 80% of the equation. And it is in some respects, but it's more of a tool. But we know it's the relationships that really moves the needle. Like it's not even like I'm calling to sell you something. Like, we work together. I'm calling to see what's up, and maybe we can create something. Like, that's the 80% for me. And the 20% is then we put the tech to work to make the tech work for us. And I think in a lot of places it's reverse. Maybe not a lot. I'm talking off the cuff here, but my hallucination is that we can get lost in hyper focusing on the tech and neglecting the relationship. It's got to be, we got to build those relationships. And the technology lines up behind it. And you and I know, I mean, like, and right now, like you just talked about emails. Let me ask you a question. Did you go into your junk or clutter folder today?
I actually did go into my junk folder. I go in there a lot because for some reason, like a bunch of emails that people have been sending me are just going into junk. I think the algorithms changed or something else like that. And even with Zoom meetings, Zoom invites I've missed.
Yep.
So I just make it an activity to go make sure I go in there and look daily. But I've seen a lot of Zoom stuff go in there. Yeah.
So today we live in a world where your inbox, your junk, and your clutter folder all need to be there because people are using tech. And that's why I liked when you talked about the segments. And one of the things I like doing is just dialing up some personal emails.
Yeah.
5 or 10 of them, you're following up. It's a personal email. They probably don't have to go to their junk or clutter folder because every time I send something out, I'm like, you be sure to check your junk or clutter folder.
Yeah.
It's just the way we do business today. You got to check your junk or clutter folder because we're using automation, and you know about this more than anyone. We're using automation, and we're sending things out, and it's going to people's junk folders.
The platforms that we use, the inbound systems know that it's coming from those IP addresses that like those platforms use. So it's automatically going to get marked, right? If you use if you use any of those types of systems, 99% of the time, the inbound system is going to recognize that and just toss it into the junk folder. And that's why a lot of times the first email that goes out, if someone buys something for you, if someone buys a product or service from you, first email that goes out is always like, hey, make sure check your email. Please mark this email as okay moving forward. You'll see that a lot more in marketing and stuff like that. Text is huge. I mean, it hasn't been adopted by a lot of companies yet, but the primary focus right now is to continue to gather mobile numbers, right? Not because I'm planning on sending them anything, and not because I send any type of communication through text, unless a customer or somebody says, hey, let's communicate through text, but that's going to be huge too. So I'm doing that with the database. And the number one thing for me is the phone. Where is it here? The phone, man. Pick the phone up, right? People are afraid of the phone. People are afraid of the phone. They want to do it all through email. When you want to get business done, you need to be good on the phone. You need to explain crystal clear, super quick, what you're going to provide, how you're going to provide it, and how much it's going to cost, and how fast you're going to deliver it. If you're not able to do that in less than 60 seconds, it's over. It's over in the online world, like in business, because everything we do is going to be on video. Not everything, but a lot of stuff we do moving forward is going to be on video, just like we're doing now. You're going to need to be able to communicate your message, like boom, right out of the gate. And it just leads back to emergency life coach, Austin, anybody like himself, like you have to practice, right? This is not like going to the fridge and getting milk out. You have to join a mastermind. And I'm going to do this myself. I mean, I know you've been asking me for a while and stuff like that. And I still hem and haul and everything else like that. I run and make objections and excuses, but I know where I'm supposed to be. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? And it's funny, whenever we talk, whenever I get off the phone, I'm always like, man, when you talk to somebody that has leadership skill, like yourself, when you get off the phone with them, and even some of my other friends that have great leadership skills, just like you, but in different market segments and different pieces, in different types. Whenever I get off the phone with them, or I talk to them, or I meet with them, I'm always a little bit, it's not perturbed, but because I know I can do better. I know I can do better, right? And I know I'm not putting in I know I'm doing that 98% of stuff right, but I need to do that other 2%. And that's what talking to somebody like yourself does, is it brings the best out in that 2%, because that's what people remember. They remember that 2%, like the customer, you could do 98% of the stuff right, But if you're not cleaning up after yourself, and you're not, you know, if that meal isn't perfect at the end, you know, if the dessert comes out bad, you could have a 10-star meal, 5-star meal. If that dessert comes out bad and hits their palate bad, it's over. The meal stunk, you know, and that's why I love talking to you, and I always appreciate it. But it hurts sometimes. Like, I know when we spoke last week, I think we spoke last week, and we were going over a bunch of stuff, and I was like, I just got on the phone, and I was just like, I was really with the hour, like I was sharing how with the virtual assistant, it was tough for me to keep them busy and everything else. And I got off the phone, and I was like a negative Nelly. I was like a negative Nelly on there. But it's only because I'm just frustrated with myself. And that is why it's so important that you talk to somebody on a daily or not even daily. I think it may be a little too much daily, but every 2-3 days.
Well, the point is, Brandon, that someone can plug in. I watch your content, your energy, man. You bring it every day. Like, they can plug in first. They don't even have to talk, right? They can plug in, like through YouTube. You can plug in. Because when somebody calls you, it's like you like somebody like Brandon or myself or whoever. It's like you're answering the call to your next step. When you listen to a video, when you click. That's why I tell people when they click on these videos, like Facebook, they measure 3-second clicks. You know this. I
don't know. What do they do 3-second clicks or?
So Facebook has an algorithm that measures a 3-second click. So that tells me that people click on for 3 seconds, and 3 seconds, 3 seconds, 3 seconds. They waste time all day. They get nothing. So I tell people, click on and stay here till you grab something or get out, because you're wasting your time. I don't want you to waste your time. Yeah. Like, if you're going to click on here and go, what can I get here? I just clicked on these 2 guys. What can I grab here right now, right in this moment? Or I'm going to get out because I got something else to do, because there's no sense you wasting your time. That's why, you know, and if Facebook's measuring it, that's what people do. So that's why if you get somebody to get to the 6-second or 15-second mark, home run. I mean, that's a major marketing accomplishment, by the way. So, you know, wow. This is real time, man. This is what we do. We're human. I do it. I've done it. Have you done it where you clicked on something for 3 seconds? But
that's all I do all day.
Yeah. Now I say to myself, what am I doing? Like, why am I clicking on this for 3 seconds? Like, get off of there. Like, you know what I mean? Get back. Get focused, right? And I got this thing here. I got this timer. You know, you can get a timer. Boom. I flipped that upside down.
How long is that for? Boom. How long is that?
This one's an hour.
That's an hour. Okay.
This one's an hour.
I was listening to something the other day. They said the most successful people stop and get up every 52 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, so you could do 20.
Get a drink of water. I do push-ups, whatever, you know, whatever it is, 52 minutes. So now I'm on the 52-minute club.
No, there's another one. There's another one that's it's called the Pomodoro.
I've heard of that. What is that?
It looks like a tomato. It's a timer, and it's 25 minutes. So the idea is you work 25 minutes. You get up for 5 minutes, you go get a drink of water, you do whatever, You come back, now you're working 50 minutes in an hour. So it's the same concept, but you got that midpoint checkpoint where you're refreshing your mind. So when you go back in, but you got to find what works for you, man. Like, no, you know, these are all options. You got to find, but what we do know is that we look at the numbers, people are distracted. And I know, I mean, there's got to be a focused block of time in your day. There's got to be a moment where you say, this is, and I don't care if the rest of it is like chaotic, you're running around, whatever, but you got to say, I'm going to own this hour. I'm going to own this 90 minutes, whatever it is, and get on it. And that's what I'm working on. But you know, it's a challenge, man. But if you can master that, you're going to master your life.
So here's my 4 quadrants, right? So here are my 4 quadrants, and these things fill my calendar. All right. So health, right, and on a daily basis. So basically, I can go through anybody's calendar, and based upon if they're keeping a calendar, I can probably tell what level of income they're generating just based off of the calendar. Okay, so if you go to health, what are you doing to stay healthy? Right. if you go to wealth, so you just look at a piece of pie as four different
I'm typing
pieces.
it in right now.
Yeah, health, right? Wealth. What are you doing to generate income? Family. What are you doing to take care of your friends and family? And spirituality, not in a religious sense, in a meaning that you need to get in touch with your inner self somehow, some way. I'm not talking about God. I'm not talking about anything else. You can go outside and look at a tree. You can look at the sky. But at some point, you're going to need to get honest with yourself. And this is just for me. Like, yeah, I need to get honest with myself. Health, wealth, spirituality, family. Those four quadrants. If I'm not hitting on all four of those at any point throughout the day, it's like I'm riding on a flat tire, right? So when you ride on a flat tire or a record that skips, you know it's going to skip. When we used to play records, right? When I used to play Michael Jackson Thriller or Farewell My Summer Lover, you know, that thing. Yeah, I know we would come around and then start playing real pretty again. Everything would sound great. And then, you know, that's what it's like when these quadrants are off. Also, education on there, just on a calendar. So if you look on a calendar, health, wealth, spirituality, and family, and then education, right? So what on your calendar, what are you doing today to make yourself better, to improve yourself, right? Those it's really four quadrants, but the fifth is the education piece. But if you look at anybody's calendar, you're going to be able to tell this person is balanced, right? Because all of those things create balance, man. And balance creates success. At least for me and everybody else that I know, they have success. They may be a little bit crazy. They may have ADHD. They may talk 1,000 miles per minute. Now, you know, with me, Austin, like, I talk funny sometimes, right? Sometimes I stutter. Sometimes I stammer. Sometimes I might stammer. Sometimes I may, you know, get held up on a word. And that stuff used to hold me back, right? Because I was so shy. But F that, man. I'm not gonna curse because I don't curse.
Amen to that, man.
But I got news for you. I am unique. If you like me, great. I got a great message. I'm gonna bring it. I'm gonna share my experiences. If you don't like it, you don't need to listen to me. There's thousands of other people. That is the strongest point that you can get to in your life. And when you can do that, and when you can say no to people and no to opportunities that, yes, may involve money and may involve you making money, but you don't want that business anymore, that is a point of strength. And if you're not there yet and you want to get there, the fastest way to get there is by working with a professional, not someone like me, because two scatterbrains working together is going to make scatterbrain pie. You gotta get somebody with some clarity and with a guide that can take you through the steps on how to, you know, slow down, get a mission statement, get a value statement, see what you're about, and then have that pitch, right? So
absolutely, man. But man, what I admire about you, though, you said you are somebody who executes. Like once you lock in, it's over. I
got no choice, dude.
But you're a master at it. You just execute. You execute, and that is extremely valuable, man. I'm telling you, and that's something that has to, just like a muscle, has to be developed. And you've done the work in that area, and it shows. I mean, it absolutely shows. And you're going to continue to grow, and you're going to, you know. And one thing I wanted to say, because I want to make sure, I was thinking about this earlier, is that a lot of people will think that they're 1,000 miles away. They'll get caught in the emotion of how far they are away, but in reality, they're not that far away. And this is what you've learned, right? When it seems like you're 1,000 miles away, see, somebody like yourself, you've developed the muscle to know that a couple moves here or there, no matter what it seems like over here, a couple moves and boom, the floodgates open. And that's flashpoint. That's like, boom, I got my breakthrough. When it didn't seem like the breakthrough was coming. But you know what? I just listened to the other day. You know Howie Mandel?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
This guy, do you remember? I don't know if you remember, but he did a comedy sketch, and I because he brought it up, and I remembered it. But do you know what kind of made him famous? Do you remember?
No, not at all. Was it the call-in game? No, it wasn't the call-in game. The boxes. or whatever.
You might remember this. He's a germaphobe. Like,
yeah, I remember. Yes.
So he had these gloves. He had like the white like latex gloves because he was a germaphobe. One day, it was in his comedy. He put the glove over his head, and he inflated it like with the air from his nose. And that goofy thing, made him memorable. And everybody knew him. And I still remember the sketch. And then I remembered hearing about him later. And so, the point is that you never know if as long as you show up and you're out there and you're consistent, persistent, and insistent, you're going to hit it. I got some allergies over here, but
yeah,
you're going to hit it. And I think the emotional part of that is that you're feeling the heavy emotion of everything that's wrong. You got to develop the attitude that one or two moves, it's going to happen. And it's like, and I did that in the 50K, man. I'm like, if I get caught up in thinking how far away I am from the finish line, I'm going to freak myself out. I
100%. Yeah. It was freezing cold that day too, wasn't it? It was raining and 50 degrees.
It was pouring rain the whole time, Brandon. I ran through the rain, man, 5.5 hours. But, and believe me, I tell people you meet yourself out there. And it's so true, man. You really do. But my point is, like, your brain can start to drift, and you could start to think, man, I'm 20 miles away. My God, like, but then what you develop is like, wait, I just got to get here, and then I got that, and then I got my nutrition in 20 minutes. Am I gonna have to make a bathroom break? You start to like lay the steps out. You get out of the emotion of it. Next thing you know, you're halfway through, you're 3/4 through. Next thing you know, you're running up the final, hill, and you're at the finish line. So it's exactly what you're talking about. And you're just a great, you're just a master at executing. And I think you've mastered that space where you don't get caught up in the emotion. You make that next move because you realize that next move could be the move that gets you to your breakthrough.
Well, what I found that where I was talking about Flashpoint the other night, actually, to a friend of mine, I was on the phone. I was actually on a Zoom with him, and he says, yeah, that breaking moment. I said, that flashpoint moment. And he's like, oh, that's perfect phrase for it. I'm like, yeah, that's my friend's phrase, flashpoint. That's the flashpoint. And that's what it is. And he goes, oh my goodness, that's genius. I was like, yeah, the guy's a genius. What can I say? But I have to say, there are so many nights that when my head hits the pillow, like I am just not 100% fulfilled, and that is because when you're pushing so hard, when you're paving new road, when you're chopping down, I'm not into, taking down trees and stuff, but I'm just going to use this as a metaphor. But when you're chopping down trees to lay new road, you hit stumps, you hit detours, man, you hit boulders. And it's, it might set you back a week, 2 weeks, a month, a year, but the one thing I know is just keep going. I mean, like you said, show up. And I know you this is one thing that you taught me during the presentation is you said, Brandon, what's your I quit level? At what level do you throw the towel in? Is your I quit level, at 80%? Is your I quit level at 100%? But just by simple questions like that, you need a couple stingers. If someone says something to you, and when you work with somebody, and they say something to you and it stings you in the heart, it stings you in the stomach, it upsets you.
Oh man.
Those are the things I write down and address right away, man, because those are the things nearest and dearest to my heart that I need to change, as fast as humanly possible. But I also know that just from experience that in business, stuff moves very slow and then it moves really, really fast. You are on the SEPTA train going 30 miles an hour. And if you do it long enough, you get on the Excella. And then you say, holy freaking cow. And then you get back on the SEPTA and go slow. Nothing against SEPTA. It's a local line versus an regional line, but
Yeah.
it goes really, really quick, man. And you're like, holy freaking cow, how am I going to do this? What's going on? I don't know. I need help here. You're scrounging around. Then you get control of it.
Problems.
Yeah. They're good problems. Yeah. They're good problems. Then you figure it out. Then you slow down. Then it speeds back up. But the main thing is just be consistent with your behavior. And I think behavior, just talk about some personal stuff real quick, is I'm always and I don't know how you feel about this because we've really never talked about it, but how you treat, this is just for me, how I treat my family is most likely how I'm going to treat the people in business, right? My peers, both my coworkers, as well as the clients and prospects that I serve. Like, I don't have a light switch where I just turn off. Like, I come home and I'm a jerk to my wife, I'm a jerk to my kids, and then I'm Mr. Nice Guy to the girl or the guy that I'm presenting to. For me, it doesn't work like that. For me, it's I'm the same. I need balance. There's no like turning off. And I see some people doing like crazy stuff outside of work, treating people, in a negative way, and then trying to turn it on here or turn it on there or like here. Like, I'm not acting, man. The acting is over. I did that stuff when I was 20 years old, like in school. I was nice and I was good.
Right.
Yeah, there's none of that, man. What you see is what you get, man. I'm gonna be sincere with you. I'm gonna be genuine. I'm going to tell you exactly what's going on. And if I'm not able to do something, I'm going to tell you why I'm not able to do it and when I can get it done or anything else like that. Like, the more straightforward I am, and I know people like, I know some people may not agree with me, but the more straightforward I am and the more genuine I am, the better off everything is. I don't need to get caught up in lies.
Yeah.
I don't need to get caught up in anything else. It's like, hey, man, I'm out here for survival. I'm doing this because I'm passionate. I'm here. Most of the videos that I do and most of the stuff I do and all the content that I create is really for myself, right? They're all internal lessons.
Oh yeah.
I'm talking to myself. Is that like you is that with you too? So I know you have professional stuff that you do too, but like sometimes if you just let it rip, is that what you do as well? Like you're talking to yourself?
Of course. I mean, I'm my first client. I mean, I'm the one that, I needed to look in the mirror, man. I needed to go, like, I had some issues. I had issues. Like, I would never be doing this if I didn't look in the mirror. You can't do this work if it doesn't run to your heart. There's no way you can do it. It's not sustainable. You might get quick. And I had a conversation yesterday. A guy went into an event. He came in and he made a good amount of money, and it wasn't his audience. And he didn't do anything like to take care of people. He just was like all about himself. Like, that tells you about the rest of that person's, the way the rest of their life might be. And it's not sustainable. And I love what you brought this up, because if I'm not having an impact on my family, like if anybody calls up my brother, my mom, my stepdad, my stepmom, talk to them all day long, because you'll find congruency. You might learn some of my bad habits, but you'll find congruency in my message, because the things that I'm talking to you about, I talk to them about. Not all of it, because, but they know, they'll tell you, oh yeah, they'll tell you what I'm doing. And I love that you brought that up, because it doesn't make any sense to go out there. And I think this speaks to the interconnectedness of what we are. We're integrated. We have integrity. And I would go one further. How you treat yourself, how you treat your family, it all connects to your business, and how you treat your clients. And it's all connected, man. Absolutely. 100%. I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah. So how do you disconnect? How do you, like, between the two? How do you, is there ways that you kind of just take a break, or do you ever just take a break, or what?
From business, or?
Yeah, in both. Just like, how do you, because I know the people that you work with, you become close to. I mean, obviously we became close and stuff like that, but when you know that they can do better and you know what they're supposed to be doing, and you're like, dude, like, just like you say to me all the time, you're like, Brandon, listen, you can, you are right there, man. You are right there, and but how do you do you get upset? You're like, dude, you have to, you have to buy in. You have to, if you just give yourself this little bit of time, this little bit of coaching, it's going to make a huge difference. How do you do that? Even with someone like myself, when you're like, Brandon, when are you going to start working with me again? Brandon, when are you, because you see the potential, because you can see as a trained professional, you can see before the other person can actually see,
Right.
Other people can see for you before you can, because they're just more experienced and they know. So how do you kind of separate and say, okay, I'm just going to give him time or her time or whatever else, and you just keep them on the radar and keep circling around, or just for the opportunity? And some may never come around, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. What I do, Brandon, is I make sure that I'm present, and I lean into the person. Like, I lean into them so I can kind of like check, where are they? And then what do they most need? Do they need a nudge? Do they need like a lean in, or do they need a push, a kick in the ass?
Yeah.
And then I do my best to gauge what they need, and then give that to them. And you and I've had offline conversations, but listen, I need that. Like, I treat like what I'm giving to them like it's what I do for myself.
Yeah.
And I had to give myself a kick in the ass recently. So I had to make some decisions about, like, this is what I need to do. I need to show up. I need to be living it. I need to be walking my talk. And so again, how I deal with myself, how I treat myself, it translates over to what I'm doing with my clients. And actually that's that's the integration part. Now, certainly I'm not going to not use something because I feel like it can help somebody. I'll do whatever whatever I feel is going to help the person. But I think the foundational part, it starts with you. It starts with your mode of operation with yourself. And you can certainly use your mode of operation with the other person, but I think leaning into the other person and understanding their world better equips you to provide what they need. And it may be out of your own autobiography, but it may not be. And I think it takes intuition to know the difference, right? It's like, you heard the quote, he who is a hammer thinks everything's a nail. But
I need to think about that one for a second. Okay.
You've got to be able to discern, like, what does that person need? They don't need to be always hammered, right? Because I was hammered as a child, So from a place of love, but that messed me up for a while, man. I walked around thinking I was going to make a mistake. I was afraid of making a mistake because my dad was he was a Vietnam vet. He was a sergeant. Boom, man. He didn't, he wasn't messing around, but that didn't translate well to me. I had to, it took me a long time. I took the long road. So I had to sort through all that, but the beautiful thing is when you get a coach or you get them a mentor, and I've had many, you get to the other side of it. And you don't know when you're going to but you get to the other side of it, and then you get that clarity, and now you're just free to be who you are, and you're free to do what you're meant to do. Your mission, your purpose, whatever, business, whatever it is.
Yeah, I always say that, like, grab as many lessons as you can from as many different people, put them into a blender, and mix it up. And make your own. Like, I might like a little bit. I love protein shakes. I'm going to have one when I go in here in a little bit. But I like peanut butter. I like almond butter. I like some granola in there. My son hates banana. He doesn't want me to put bananas in there. So he that's his shake. That's what he likes. So, determining what you like and getting out of the way with what other people like is a flashpoint for me. Like, just getting out of the way and realizing that like, my way may not be the right way, and I can train you just like your dad. My dad's in Air Force. He flew F4s. He's a fighter pilot, lived all over, stuff like that. And you if you watch The Great Santini, it's like with the military part, it's sometimes not all, but it can be very structured, right? And I'm not a military. I'm kind of all over the place. I love to travel and stuff like that, and I love being around the planes as a kid and stuff like that and all that stuff. but I just wasn't set up for that, in my path, but it doesn't mean that I wasn't able to take a lesson from my dad. And he was very diligent in the way he went about things, because when he went to flight school, he just dedicated his life to that. I don't know if it was a year and a half or 2 years or whatever. When he went in flight school, he said, I'm going to graduate number one, because what they do is, at that point in time, they had all the planes. They had all the planes going down, like helicopters and crap, right? So if you graduated number one, you get first choice, right? And they have every type of plane up there that they can fly on a chalkboard. Number one picks number one. He goes up. If they have one F4, one F14, one F16, whatever. If you're number one, you can walk up. If you want to fly a helicopter, you fly a helicopter. If you want to fly a C-130, you fly a C-130. If you want to fly a fighter jet, it's your choice. Once you cross out that one, if there's one up there, the next person gets choice two, right? So you might have gone to school. So he dedicated himself, and he said, hey, listen, for the time I'm there, I'm going to graduate number one. And that just showed. Now, he's not a star student by any means, but it just goes to show that with dedication and a mindset that you are going to do it, you're going to do it. I mean, that's the bottom line. So anybody can do it, but it takes help, takes tutoring. Absolutely. And I think that's a good place to bring this plane in for a landing. This plane. Woo, this was like a tornado, man. I was caught in the altocumulus cloud, man, in the center, in the vortex, man. Oh man, we gotta jump on more, Austin, and talk. We gotta talk some take a deeper dive into some of these topics. But this is the course that you teach now, the emergency life coach, is like so when you take somebody through, just for my own knowledge, because I was going to ask you this anyway. Yeah, let's talk about that. So, like when you go one-on-one, like when we did the speech presentation for me, we worked one-on-one. We did 12 weeks, I think. We did two times a week, 3 times a week, I think. I don't know, but it was awesome. You and I. Yeah. Well, that's what we did. You and I. We were very intentional. We mapped out the schedule. Then we confirmed, because your life is very dynamic. So we confirmed, but we pretty much were on target because we mapped it out in advance. And then we did some live. We recorded it, and I think you had I think your result. You were happy with the result. Oh, it was awesome. Yeah, it was awesome. So, but how do you do like when you go through one-on-one? Now that phase is over, like just for somebody else that's watching or is going to watch this on at a later date or something else like that. So when they go through a program with you, is it your program, or is it like your specific program that you've taken? Because I know you've gone to a bunch of different seminars. I mean, you're probably one of the most educated in the space that I've come across. Anybody in terms of investment and education into it. But are you doing your own program that you've kind of put together, or something? No, like you brought that up. So what Emergency Life Coach has two missions, two purposes. One, to help new life coaches win, because new life coaches are not winning. They're 1 to 3 years in. They're not getting clients. So Emergency Life Coach is a universal brand for them. So what I do is I create a mastermind to work with those life coaches. I have a certification. We're ramping that up now. We're going to have, it's a course. It's not a life coach certification. They should have that when they come in. We're going to launch that in the future. But they will need to get Emergency Life Coach certified. And so what I do is I work with them to help them build their business. Okay. And the platform, the universal brand, is included so that they can get a client today. So if they don't understand the tech, they don't have their brand, they don't have their messaging, what do? They just invested in thousands of dollars in a life coach certification. What do? Well, they come into my platform and I say, here's your profile, here's your booking page, you're all set. Now we're going to go through the mastermind. I'm going to help you develop your own program. So that's what that is. And then the second part is we help people in a time of need, life transition, job loss, breakup, relationship conflict at work. Where do I go? So we want to be, and I'm going to be talking to you about AI, because I want to get some AI in this where we can meet people instantly, And then, but my passionate brand is going to be Flashpoint. That's the breakthrough that takes the side hustler to full time,
because there's a lot of people that are talented. They got it. They got it. They just need to get to that breakthrough. The glove over the head, like something ridiculous like that with Howie Mandel, which we were talking about, right? He put the glove over his head, inflated the glove, and then everybody knew who Howie Mandel is, right? So I believe that there's a pivotal moment. There's a pivotal moment in everyone's journey if they hit the things that you and I were talking about earlier, where they'll break through, and that means that their entity, their personhood, their brand becomes a living, breathing, long-term sustainable entity that can take care of them and their family, maybe 5 years, maybe 10 years, maybe generations to come, you know? And the beautiful thing about that is it's attached, it's heart set, skill set, mindset. It's you bring all those three things, and there's a term called ikigai. It's a Japanese term, but it's when everything comes together. It's it's your heart set, your skill set, your mindset, and it serves the world, and people will pay for it. See, a lot of times people create these great things, and I've done that in the past, but it doesn't translate. But you know, a breakthrough that, like, for the side hustler, that makes sense, right? People know what that is. And so they're the brands that I'm working on. And we've done a couple other things together, but that's kind of where my focus is, Brandon.
That's phenomenal. Yeah. The one thing I want to say is, I say this to my wife all the time. I'm like, listen, I look at a family tree, and I know we'll end with this or whenever you want to go, but look at your family tree. There's always one person in a family tree that's a game changer. Are you going to be? And I remember this is the way you talked to me when we were together. Stare me right in the eyes. Are you going to be that person? Are you going to be the game changer? Are you going to be the person in your family tree that people talk about for generations to come? There's going to be one of them, right? And if there's one, that means there can be two. It doesn't mean it's exclusive just to one. Look at your family tree. Go down that, guys, girls. See who the mega successful people are, and mega successful doesn't always need to involve money. It can be doing beautiful work with other people that doesn't involve a lot of money. But I can assure you, if you look at their family tree, you don't see anybody, commit right now to work with somebody and to be that person on your family tree that everybody talks about for generations.
I love that. That's a great way to end. And that's legacy. And how often do you wake up every day, or do you wake up and you think about legacy, right? What's my legacy?
Listen, this is why you're so awesome. I say it like a caveman, and you say, Brandon, I'm just going to wrap up everything that took you 5 minutes to say into one word. It's called legacy.
No,
you're right. That's why you want to work with a professional, right? That's why you don't want to work with me, because it takes me 5 minutes to explain what Austin needs to do. If you want to take the short road, you work with a professional. You want to take the long road, you work with me.
You're a pro, brother. You're a pro, man. And that's why you get clients. But no, this has been awesome. I hope, this will be on YouTube. It's on YouTube now.
For sure.
Share it. You can grab stuff off of it. I'm going to see if I can dice this up and put some of it into the podcast tomorrow, because we talked about flashpoints. So maybe I'll.
Yeah, man. Anything, man. Anything. Let's catch up and talk more. Let's make it a more often type of thing. And I definitely have some people I want to introduce you to, and I think I'm ready to start working with you again on a few different things too. I can. This call was worth some money to you. I can already see it coming.
Yeah, no, man, I'm doing this from the heart. So we're going to make this happen.
I know.
By the way, I just want to type this in here. Brandon, I'm just going to put
LinkedIn. LinkedIn. Yeah, linkedin.com/Brandon.e.Schaefer. They'll find me. Brandon Schaefer. If they just type in Brandon Schaefer LinkedIn, they'll find me.
I'm gonna put your LinkedIn profile in the chat here, so people get.
That's it, man. You however you want to get in touch with me, text, carrier pigeon, donkey, horse and carriage, whatever you got, send it.
No, I love that.
Anything you got, man. Anything you got, you find me.
I love people call you. You're like, what do you need? What do you need? Like you're just ready, man. You're just like,
let's go.
Let's go. Let's get it done.
Yeah. All right, man. I'm going to go spend some time and take care of my family portion of my health, wealth, spirituality, and family. Get a nice day to the day. But I'll talk to you tomorrow, Austin. All right?
Sounds good, man. Great to have you.
All right. Thanks, brother. You too, man.
Take care. Bye-bye. Ended. All right.